All right, everybody. We're just now getting started. I have not even poured a beer. What's up? It is Sunday. It's been a couple of weeks since I've been on, so let me know if you guys can hear and see me okay. Make sure that my volume's up and that you guys can hear the audio. If somebody could give me a quick thumbs up or say something in the chat, let me know. That'd be sweet. Also, I'm going to be kind of sharing a little bit about my new beer I just tapped, which I literally had the first glass today, which is my pumpkin ale, which will be going on a video tomorrow. So we'll be talking a little bit about that beer tonight and some other things, but if someone would let me know that they can hear me okay, give me a quick shout and say absolutely, or if I'm too loud or too quiet, that'd be awesome. Awesome, welcome. Thanks, guys. 1 second here. I'm gonna get a beer. You guys should also grab a beer, and then we'll get after it. What's everybody drinking tonight? How's everybody's weekend going? We got a good one. This is a pumpkin ale video going out tomorrow. Solid beer. It is a pumpkin ale where I did not add any cinnamon or nutmeg, so it is not overly spiced, or one that you would only want one of and then never have another beer again in your life of. So this is one you're gonna bring to Thanksgiving or like some, fall party and drink like a ton of. It's a pretty good amber ale. The first couple pulls I thought it was a little drier, but I'm kind of liking it a little bit like that. So it's a solid beer. Hey, Coors Light, it is what it is. It's wet. It's got some alcohol in it. I guess if I'm drinking like a light beer, I would do a Coors. I'm not, I don't hate. Hey, yeah, you got water. You might need a beer or two just to help you with the pain from the broken heel. How'd you break the heel, man? That sounds like it didn't feel too good. So this pumpkin beer, we roasted some pumpkins in the oven, and I got a good caramelization, toastiness to it, and threw that guy in my mash, so it turned out really good. I was afraid, I put in 3 pounds, which are, a couple of cans worth in the mash, and I didn't know if it would really come through because I put some really kind of a good grain bill of malt in there for some other kind of raisiny flavors and other things, which kind of give it this darker color, but I can taste the pumpkin in there, especially as the beer kind of warms up and those aromatics come out. You can smell it, you can taste it, it's good. Oh, ouch, glad you're okay, and it's not more than just a broken heel, man. That sucks. Ouch. Glad you're all right, Nathan. That's a big deal. Yeah, it's like you need 2 legs to walk, man. You can't break one of them. Ouch. Well, glad you're on the mend, and yeah, if you need a water tonight, that's totally fine. I will drink a beer for you, and I'm sure everyone else will. So cheers to you, and fast recovery, my friend. Nathan, you need one of those little bells, and someone could just go get you one of those ciders. Just like ring a bell and have somebody wait hand and foot on you since you are on the mend. A glass of cider, that's the perfect time of year to do it, man. Apple cider season. Get that cider from the local places and brew it up. That's awesome. Did you make that one from local cider, or did you just buy some apple cider from the store? Oh yeah, it is. It is Canadian Thanksgiving weekend. I forgot about that. Yeah, turkey coma, man. I'm telling you, it's the way to go. This is a good beer to bring to Thanksgiving dinner. And so next year, brew this one, or brew it for Halloween or Christmas or whatever. It's a great beer. So this video is dropping tomorrow for those who are wondering. I literally just tapped it today and did kind of my live reaction of what I thought, what I perceived from the get-go. But now that I've had this is my third glass and it's warmed up a little bit, I'm kind of thinking it's a little bit different than I even put on the video, because I thought that it was a little more dry, and maybe it's just because I've had a little bit of it, and that I probably would have raised the mash temperature up of this a little bit to get a little bit more of that sweetness, but I actually don't want it to be super sweet, so I think it's pretty spot on. But if I had to be hyper critical, I mashed in at like 153, and I'd probably mash in at like 156 or 158 next time, just to see if I could bring out some of those sugars and unfermentable sugars at that point. But I don't want it to be pumpkin pie. I mean, that was the whole point of this, right? You don't want it to be like overly sweet to where like you're drinking like a dessert beer, and that was the whole point of not doing that. Oh, you pick the apples yourself and press them with a 12-ton press. That's awesome. I would love to do that. I've picked up some cider with a friend of mine that they do for a local place here, and they sell they give you like 5 gallons of cider or something like that to make hard cider. I've done that before, but crazy, you pick them and do the press. That's sweet. That's start to finish, man. That's next level cider. Really cool. That's probably something I should do this fall, huh? A little cider video. I haven't even thought about doing that. I've got so many other things that I've got on the queue that, I've got a porter. I'm going to do my other cranberry ginger sour that I do every year for around Thanksgiving. That one's awesome, especially when you get fresh cranberries this time of year. Really, kicks it up a notch. And my wife's going through the sour like it's a champ, so she's going to need one by about that time. So, but man, I tell you, that's one of probably my second favorite kettle sour that I do is the cranberry ginger one. It's banging good. The fresh ginger in there, you don't need very much. It's just like a little bit, but that little bit of ginger bite in there is really good. Any mature apples or any stone fruit? Right now is the time of year, man. You gotta, you need to go to an orchard or something, or somewhere that you can get them at least shipped in. If you can't find them, real close to yourself. But I go up, we're kind of in the Charlotte area, and if you go up towards the mountains, Appalachian Mountains, there's a ton of cideries and apple orchards up there, so you can get as much as you want, really. Hello, Hugo. Welcome. Yeast over there in America keeps getting better and better. Can't wait to get it in Japan. Really want to try Lutra Kveik, yeah. So the Kveik strains have really gone crazy. So the Kveik strains are just one in its own category of things, but who knew that there could be so many different ones, and the speed at which they've just changed the game for people who brew and want to brew in a quick setting where they're brewing in just a week or so, start to finish. The Kveik strains are where it's at. I mean, I will tell you what though, I had a Omega Scottish ale yeast that's in this one, which I used a Scottish ale based on a recommendation from a friend of mine who owns a very large brewery here in the Charlotte area. And I will tell you, that that yeast from Omega, I can't remember the name or which number it was, but it's their Omega Scottish Ale yeast. And that yeast, start to finish, was like 48 hours. I've never had a non-Kveik style yeast that was that fast. It was really quick. What's up, Gert? Yeah, that one I brewed on a Friday. I think I pitched the yeast about 6 or 8 o'clock p.m., something like that. And it was done by 8 a.m. Monday morning. So it was like a little over 48 hours. And it went from like 1060s to 1.009. I mean, it crashed. It was awesome. So it was really, really awesome to see how many or how fast that went, because I really haven't had one go that quick other than a Kvike. And even the Kvike, I feel like it really goes in the first like 48 or 24 hours, excuse me, and finishes up in 48 hours. But still, those last couple points to get under like 1010, 1.010, that still takes like a week, right? I mean, you still kind of can drop a couple. Where this one was like done, deadlined after like 48 hours. It was crazy fast. I was like, wow, that was nuts. And I didn't even do a starter for that because the Omega packet was pretty fresh, and they say you can pitch into up to 1070, which is awesome. So so I didn't even do a starter for that one. I did put some yeast nutrient in the boil, of course, but that's it. It was fast. I was like, wow. Next day, I already had like a Krausen the next morning, like this big in the morning, and I was like just chugging right along. I also have a hazy IPA that is actually cold crashing right now in the fermenter, and I'm going to keg that. I thought about doing that tonight. I don't know if anybody would be interested in watching me keg a or close transfer keg a hazy IPA, but I thought about doing that tonight, but I can do it tomorrow too. But who knows? Who knows where the wind will blow us tonight? What's up, Brewing Bad? How's it going tonight? What's everybody drinking? Anything cool? Other than Nathan, who's on the mend, drinking some water. Brewed a White Labs Irish Ale. You said it was like that. Finished about 48 hours. That's crazy, isn't it? Crazy. 64. Mine was at 67, so it wasn't like really hot or anything. Very cool. Yeah, what are you cutting down? And what's busy? Are you a farmer? You doing like corn? Or other stuff? So yeah, that hazy IPA, I did do a video on that one too, so I will, I'm going to do another kind of grain to glass video on that. That one should be keg tomorrow, ready to drink by about Wednesday-ish, and then I'll put that video in a couple weeks. But my pumpkin ale beer, which I'm calling Haunted House Pumpkin Ale, which turned out really good. That one's dropping tomorrow morning at 10, so everybody on here better watch that video and send it to like 100 of your friends. Drinking an Oktoberfest, always a good time. I don't care if it's well past October. I like an Oktoberfest. That's good. Not drinking anything tonight. That's all right. You can still hang around, and again, for everybody not drinking, I will have a beer for you. Farmers who gets all of our grains for us. They grow the grains and make it so we can brew beer. Oh, you have a big ass garden, so you're basically a small farmer. Just trying to bottle the hazy IPA. Nice. You bottled the hazy yourself, are you saying, or you had one that was bottled and then you bought it or got it from a friend? Nice. I was watching the Vikings lose, and I'm a Vikings fan because I'm originally from Minnesota, and they've just had the opposite of a year of last year. Even though they did play Kansas City and held their own against them today, they just kept shooting themselves in the foot, so it is what it is. Yeah, Haunted House, I like that. I like the name for the pumpkin beer. I haven't brewed a pumpkin beer in a while, or anything with pumpkin in it, so had to come up with something that was festive. Hence all of the skulls and pumpkins and other things. Oh, and I will tell you about this here award that I got here in just a moment for one of the other beers that we did, and I showcased on here as well. Yeah, I was going to say, you're probably picking like fresh stuff right now, I would imagine, and not drying everything. Yeah, that's one thing about having a big garden is like you either got to freeze it, you got to can it, or you got to give it away because you get a lot more than you think. Like I remember I do a couple of green pepper plants usually every year, and I put like one jalapeno plant because you get more jalapenos than you know what to do with. And so I just throw them. I pick them, wash them quick, throw them in a freezer bag, and then we use them for like making chili and stuff all winter. It's good. Oh, nice. You bottled the leftover 8. Yeah, that's what I do a lot of times when I have too much in the keg that I want to save some of the beers. I do. I sanitize a couple of flip top bottles, and I throw some of those little carbonation tablets in them, and so I don't waste any beer. I purposely brew usually 5.5 gallon batches or 6 gallon batches, so therefore I can only fit a little over 5 gallons in one of the kegs. If I have any extra, I try to bottle them up. They do taste a little different with the carbonation tabs versus like kegging, but not bad at all. You wouldn't even notice if you didn't know. First frost tonight. Yeah, it was chilly this morning for this time of year. It was in the lower 40s Fahrenheit. It was pretty chilly for the Charlotte area anyway. I'm gonna go fishing tomorrow morning. So we'll see how many beers I have, and I'm gonna go down to the lake, and I'm sure the lake's gonna be just steamy as all get out because it'll be cold in the morning. Most beans are drying up, corn drying up. Yeah, when I was living in Minnesota, it was probably end of October, early November. They were getting all the corn and stuff out, and having to use the dryers and stuff, but not too bad. All right, so I want to share with you guys, because I almost forgot to bring this thing up, this little award that I got a couple of weeks ago with a friend of mine that we brewed with, and we got an award, so I'll show you. For those who were on some of my other live streams or watched the other video on my maple pecan brown ale that I called Sticky Nuts, we actually got People's Choice Award for like 200 and some people voting at this brewery that we went to for this thing. They went through and they tasted a bunch of them. So we got the 2023 Beer and Branding People's Choice Award, which is awesome. We got first place, maple syrup beer. It's really cool. So really proud of that. My buddy Adam and I and his wife Amanda brewed that up, and we brought that to the event. There was probably, I don't know, 25 or 30 other beers that were the maple syrup beers, and then there was a whole branding side event portion of it, and we won the People's Choice for 2023, which is super cool because I actually kind of wanted that more than the Brewer's Choice, which we ended up getting second runner up on. But I wanted this one because this is the one where all the people come in from off the streets that aren't just like pro brewers or brewery owners and that kind of stuff. And they give this, or people vote for their favorite out of all the ones that they try. And so, if you're just an average Joe off the street and you're voting, you're going to vote for one that you would like to have again, or maybe get a whole pint of or something like that. You're not just going to get, a beer that, is to a certain style. You don't really care. You're just like, is this a good beer? Yes or no? Like, I'm gonna get this one again. And so we got first place, so super excited. That was a super big honor to have when we like freaked out when they called our name. It was awesome. So if you haven't watched that video, by the way, that's it's called Sticky Nuts, and then I did a different video on that award and talked about the beer and branding event a little while ago. So go check both of those out. That was cool. Yeah, a bunch of farms up there, yep. Yeah, so Kurt, the maple syrup, it was kind of hard because we did add some at the end of the boil, but we knew that was going to ferment out. And so we added about, I don't remember how much it was. I think it comes in about a 16 ounce, the maple syrup did, and we added about half of one of those things or so in the keg. Some of it is going to fall out right away, and we kept adding a little bit till it was just over sweetness, like just more than we wanted it to be, just barely more, and kind of added about a quarter of the jar, took the keg, kind of rocked it a little bit. It did foam up as you're adding it, even though, because it was like almost like adding Mentos and like Coke. It was crazy. I had to quick throw the lid back on, kind of rock it back and forth. And then once we got it to a place we wanted it, we knew it was going to drop out some of that maple flavor a little bit. So I put just a smidge more into the beer, and then waited a few days, and it was great. It was really good. We did roasted pecans in that also, so like that roasty, nuttier flavor kind of helped balance out the sweetness of the maple syrup. And then we just had a normal kind of brown ale recipe for it. And so yeah, it turned out really, really good. And obviously other people thought so too, so that was cool. Yeah, so I don't enter my beers in a lot of like external competitions. We do a lot of internal competitions both for my beer club, and then also I'll send some off to like some more regional homebrew competitions. So I'll bottle some and we'll enter them as part of like a regional competition. I haven't sent them ever in for like the American homebrew competitions or something like that for like worldwide and that kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, I try to do some little ones here and there. Most of the time when I brew, it's for either the channel here or it's just because I want to drink a beer. And I like to brew, so we have people over all the time, and people are always in here grabbing beers and different stuff. And when my friends come over, they know don't bring any beer because Dennis has a whole bunch. So it's kind of nice, and it keeps me brewing a little bit more. So I don't go for the hobbies, but I do. Obviously I'll enter some, and I've gotten a bunch of like medals and ribbons and kind of stuff. Those are just a few of them. I have a couple of others inside, but just a few of them that I enter and put in. And so for some of them I win, some of them I don't, and some of them I get good feedback, and some of them, I'll get feedback that I thought was way off, but it is what it is. It all really depends on the person and how good their palate is. But I don't really brew to a specific style all the time. I try to stick with it a little bit, but I'm really trying to come up with like what I think is going to be a good beer. Like is it going to be crushable, drinkable? Do I really like something unique and different, but not like way over the top where I'm not going to want to have 5 gallons on tap of it. But I don't always like think about the beer style as I'm brewing. Does that make sense? And so sometimes the competitions are too critical about the beer style itself. Like, well, this is a really good coconut porter, but the chocolate's too much and it's a little too sweet for a robust porter. Like they'll get comments like that, and it's like, kiss my butt, man. This thing is a great beer. This thing is awesome. And so, and that's what I was going for. Even though they're probably correct in the fact that does it fit the style guidelines? Well, maybe not. So, but at the same time, like, I don't care about the style guidelines. I want to brew a good beer that everybody's gonna think is awesome. So that's kind of where I'm at with the competitions. I could do them or not. It's not gonna make or break or hurt my feelings any. But what's everybody else brewing tonight? Or for those who are on and joining in the chat, what's everybody drinking tonight? What did everybody do this weekend? Anything cool? You have fewer friends than when you started brewing, so your beer must taste like crap. No, I don't think that's what it is. I think they're just jealous they can't brew as good a beer as you. That's probably it, right? Yeah, thanks, Kurt. Appreciate it. So yeah, I was gonna talk really about whatever. We're gonna talk about some fall beers I'm gonna do. I started talking a little bit about that, about this beer that I brewed that's gonna be coming out tomorrow, which is that pumpkin ale. For those who are just joining us, that video will be up tomorrow at about 10 o'clock or so. I think I have it dropping. And so when I first tasted this, I thought it was a little drier, but now that it kind of warms up a little bit more to room temperature, it's actually not bad at all. It's pretty good. And so in this case, I don't really know if I would want it a lot sweeter, but I probably would mash it a little bit more at a higher temperature just so, or not mash more, but mash it at a higher temperature. I mashed it at 153. I'd probably do it at 156 or 158, but that's why we keep notes, right? So when I go back now, I'm going to put this in my brew log that next time I brew it at a little bit higher mash temperature so the residual sugars stay in there and you get a little bit more of that mouth feel and that sweetness for that pumpkin beer. So oatmeal stout version today. First stout of the fall. Nice. This is the darkest one I've done yet for a while, and it's not even that dark. So I'm looking forward to, I think we have a couple events that I'm going to be talking about in a little bit, but then I'm going to be doing some type of a porter, I know for sure, probably my next beer. I'm going to be doing a competition for a fantasy draft of beer ingredients that we did. I'm going to be brewing that this week with a friend of mine, and we're brewing another hazy. It's a different one that I have on, and we're going to kind of compare the difference between it, because one thing we didn't draft in that fantasy draft pick of ingredients again, we didn't draft oats. So I'm going to try to do a little video on comparison of like hazy IPAs and the impact of rolled oats, whether you have them or not. So one thing we did get is we got white wheat. And so I put more of that in there, and I put some different other ingredients in there to help give it that haze. And of course, the yeast, of course, is going to help. We got London Fog from White Labs that we drafted. So that one, we got a good yeast for a hazy IPA. And I use that same yeast in this one. Actually, I need to do a starter. Maybe I'll do a starter on tonight's video of using one of my my starters that I did for or my yeast starters that I made, that I canned. If anyone's watched that canning video, I did a yeast starter with these little pint jars, and so I can probably start. I'll probably make a starter on tonight's video. That's easy to do here. I can do that for sure. So open this down. Bake the oats, huh? Have you done that before? Have you toasted the oats before you put them in the mash? Yeah, in some cases, oats can be more than 20%. So in some cases, oats can be upwards of 30%. I like to have, I talk about that a little bit in my hazy video that I'm going to be putting out in a couple weeks, is like the importance of that percentage of that, grains or fermentables anyway that are, give you that haze and that mouthfeel. And so I do as much as 20% of oats, but then I'll also add like a little bit of white wheat in there. I'll also add some honey malt in there to give it a little bit of something. So that's cool. I don't know if I've ever heard of anybody baking the oats first. I might have to try that out. That's like a Kurt special, man. Thanks for spilling all the beans for us, so we can steal all your secrets. I'm gonna need another beer here, but I've had 3 of these already. This is that pumpkin ale for those who are just joining us, but it was really good. The video's again coming out tomorrow, but I'm gonna do something a little different. I actually have an empty tap until I get that IPA or my hazy on. I actually have an empty tap, which does not happen very often. So I finished off that maple one, which is the one we won that People's Choice Award. And so I'll probably drink some Smash and a Blackberry Sour next. I do have some other guest tap bottles and cans and stuff in the fridge too, so I'll probably grab something out of there too. Baking them imparts some flavor for sure. I mean, the things that I've done where I've roasted stuff in there, I've roasted like coconuts in the oven before I put them in a porter, and I've roasted, obviously this pumpkin that I did in this pumpkin beer, and it kind of brings out a little more of that roasty, caramelly flavor in the pumpkin too. So I think it helps definitely bring out that. But yeah, it's gonna add that a little bit something. So that's a great suggestion, Kurt. Mama Cookie Flavor Flav. I will tell you, oatmeal cookie is stout. Is that what you're calling it? It's like Mima's cookies. Mima's cookie jar stout. That's what you need to call it right there. All right, let's fill up. I'm going to trade glasses. I got a new fresh glass for this Smash beer I'm going to grab first, I think. This is just basically a 2-row and Cascade. This one we're doing for a competition at my local homebrew club, and everybody brewed one. You probably heard me talk about it, but I'm just drinking it before we go to our competition. Look how clear that is. You can like see my face through it. I can just go on here. Look at that. It's pretty light though because it's just all 2-row and Cascade hops, so it should go pretty well at the. We're doing a little experiment. It's not really a competition. It's really an experiment. We talked about that one the last couple of weeks, but if anybody missed that, it's just showcasing the different malts and hops and yeast that have on the same recipe. So everybody essentially gets the same recipe, and then we just break out a different ingredient for everybody. And this is the control beer that everybody should have started with and then changed something else. So we'll have a couple people doing the controls, and then we'll have everybody else picking a different, some other adjunct, different malt, different grain, different hop. So it's going to be really cool. Flava Flav, you're going to put a big old clock on a chain around your neck. It's been a long time since I heard Flava Flav. Blackberry Stout, yeah, Blackberry Sour I have on tap. I'll show you that one next. That one's good stuff. I don't know if I've had a Blackberry Stout. I've had some other, like a Raspberry Stout or some other berry stout, but that would be good. Which Sierra Nevada beer are you talking about, Kurt? Cold Crash in the Tennessee Common. Nice. What'd you put in the Tennessee Common? So one thing we're going to be doing in a couple of weeks, actually 2 weeks from this weekend, is a really cool event I'm going to called the North Carolina Homebrew Invitational. And it's a bunch of homebrew clubs that get together. It's just, a pale ale, okay. The pale ale for Sierra Nevada, actually I'll get into that because I just brewed one not too long ago. It's pretty good. You should do it. There are recipes on their website, Kurt. So if you can't find it, I'll send you one. But this North Carolina Homebrew Invitational I'm going to in 2 weeks is like an invitation from all the homebrewers that are kind of in this region of kind of North, South Carolina, even some from Virginia, and I think even a couple clubs from Georgia come up. And it's just for beer club members, and they're, all that kind of stuff. And they have this big, farm essentially where they put out tents, and everybody brings jockey boxes with all their beers and stuff in it. And it's a 2-day, or it's really a 1-day event, but it's a 2-day thing for people who want to make it a 2-day thing. So we go and actually camp out there. So I bring my truck tent, and people bring RVs and bonfires and stuff, and they'll have bands playing, and they do a big pork roast. They roast it all night and stuff, and smoke that thing. And then everybody brings like stuff to share for the actual event the next day. And there's probably like 20 homebrew clubs that are part of it, and there's probably over 150 beers on tap, and we'll have probably 6 of them. I'm going to bring, I think, two of mine I'm going to bring, which is this pumpkin beer I'm going to bring, and then I'm bringing the hazy that is in there, and then I'm brewing another hazy this week too. So, but I'm bringing 2 of them to share, and then several other people from our homebrew club are doing that same thing. It's going to be awesome. But last year it was so fun. It was cold as crap at night, so I hope it's going to warm up and not be like in the 30s. It was literally like 31 degrees. It was below freezing when I went in. But it was an all-day event. Great music, great people. You go through, and it's just like bring your taster glass around and try all these different ones. And then you do have like this little voting session, and they do give away different prizes and stuff. But it's not open to the public, so people can just go and kind of serve themselves out of each one of the taps. And it's all free because we're all bringing it. We're nobody's selling anything because we don't have licenses to sell. It's just a big homebrew sharing event. It's awesome, really cool. So that's really something fun that I like to do. We did that last year, and our brew club has been a part of it for several years. But it's gotten really, really big, and it's gotten really fun because there's I don't know, several hundred people anyway that go to it, but they're all part of different homebrew clubs. And you'll taste some really, really good beers, and you'll have some really terrible beers too. I mean, some really bad beers. Like, there are not great brewers out there, and I'm not saying mine are the best, but you'll taste some that are like quality beers that could be in a brewery, and then you'll have some that are like, that's their second batch of beer maybe, or maybe first batch of beer they ever made. I mean, you can tell, and so in some cases, it varies. But these are all about people who are learning to brew and stuff. So nobody's putting anybody down about it. But there are some not great beers there too. So not all 100 beers are good, but they're worth trying, because then you get to sample some and kind of know what some of those off flavors are. Like, you'll definitely taste diacetyl and some light struck stuff and some different. DMS is another one. It's like sweet corn flavored stuff. So you'll try some beers that have some off flavors, but I'm nice. I don't tell people that are terrible. You just kind of don't go back for a second one. But you do get to vote for some really good ones, and you'll have some really good beers. So there's over half of them are good beer. The beer I brought last year actually sucked. So to be honest with you, I brought it because it kind of sucked. I didn't really want to drink it all, and I was like, not my best beer, so I'll bring it here and let everybody else drink it and not know who I am. So, but yeah, we bring that, and then the day before, it's like everybody gets together as like their little homebrew clubs and kind of shares a couple beers before like the big event, and then some people come just for the day, and then some people like stay overnight. It's really fun. So that'd be a cool event everybody can go to that are part of the local homebrew clubs in the area. So it's a pretty neat event. But those are kind of neat. What are the other things? I just did a different event. That's what I did. So I took a bus trip with about 50 other people, and we left from Charlotte up to Asheville, North Carolina. It's like 2 hours away. And we left here, and we took a bus. We drove it up there for the whole day. We left at like 8 in the morning. We came back I think we were here about 10. So we had about 8 hours in Charlotte going to different breweries. We went to Sierra Nevada up there. We went to New Belgium, who has a branch up there. We went to White Labs Yeast up there, which you can taste some different beers that are, the exact same beer, but they have the 2 different yeast or 3 different yeasts in it, and you can sample the different ones. And then we had like several hours where people could just go out and have, food and drinks and whatever anywhere else at different breweries. But Asheville is like a brewery mecca. They have like tons of different microbrews, and so every street corner's got a different brewery on it. It was really fun. Just turned on a guy to brew and beer, helped them brew the first batch, and we did great. Yeah. So you live and you learn, man. I mean, part of brewing is doing, right? So if you don't brew all the time or brew with people, there are things that you just won't know until you've experienced doing it. And so that's kind of why I wanted to start this channel a little bit, because there were channels that were kind of getting into some of this stuff and not really talking about other stuff. And so hopefully by, people who, watch my channel, they give me some comments and say, hey, I really want to learn more about, name a topic, and I'll talk about it a little bit more. Maybe we can do it like a live, like tonight, we'll do that. And so if there's something else that people want to know a little bit more about, have at it. I mean, there's a million different topics, and the only way to really know about some of them are to do it. And even as long as I've been brewing, over 10 years, there's stuff that I learn about when I go watch other people brew. It's crazy. Like there's stuff I didn't even think about. I mean, like Kurt brought up, roasting oats in your, before you put them in your mash. Like, cool. Now I kind of want to try it, right? So now there's all different kinds of different ways to, incorporate different stuff in your brew day. Like, I went to a friend's house and brewed with him one time, and he didn't have, he Vorlofted like more than I did. And I was like, so you recirculate like a lot. And he's like, oh, you don't do this that much? Like we recirculate for like, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes before we start like putting it in our pot. And I was like, really? And this was a couple of years ago, but I was like, I didn't do that much. And he's like, yeah, it really helps the clarity of your beer, and it'll pull out some of those proteins and kind of help prevent some off flavor stuff. And I started doing it more, and it made my beer brewing better, like literally did overnight. And I think that was one thing I just didn't do enough, and I didn't really know I didn't do it until somebody showed me, right? And so that's kind of a cool experience, like, until you like, and that's why I always like people who brew with other people, or like Kurt, you said you're brewing with this other guy because, you know, helped him brew his first batch, because by you helping him, he's learning stuff that he wouldn't have known by just like watching some rando YouTube channel or reading a book or something else, right? You can kind of help step them through the process. And so when I started the channel, it was kind of like I wanted to know things that people didn't tell me. But there's probably stuff I miss even in my videos, especially my, you know, I did like a 47-minute long video on how to brew beer, and it's my most popular video on my channel. But there's probably stuff in that I missed or I did wrong, and people are like, really, you know. But that was like, you know, 2 years ago now, or 2.5 years ago now. That like my second video I ever put out. And so I've learned stuff even since then. And you're always learning, and I think you always will. pH, salts, mash temp, top priority in brewing. Yeah, Kurt, I agree. I think that's where some people, like when you first get into brewing, you're like, okay, I just need to get the ingredients and a recipe. You're thinking of it more like, you know, like a cookie recipe, and you're like, okay, I need all of the stuff, the physical stuff that you need for cookies. So I need like the sugar and the flour and the you know, the chocolate chips and all that stuff, right? And so you're thinking of that like, you know, malt and hops and yeast, but you're not thinking about that as water. And water is one of the, you know, obviously the main ingredient. This is like 99% water. And so your water should be, you have to kind of think about it like an ingredient in your recipe. And so you can't just go pick out any old chocolate chips, right? So you shouldn't pick out any old, well, you probably can. Chocolate's chocolate in most cases, but you shouldn't. You should, if you really want good ones, you'll probably pick out like a better chocolate version, right? So water can kind of be the same way. You can make beer, but will it be like way over the top beer? Like, you know, there are better cookies than others because they use different ingredients and different amounts of those ingredients. And so the pH in your mash, the salts in your water, and how you get to that mash pH and all of those, you know, brewing salts and getting that perfected for whatever style you're brewing is actually more important than people think. And so even as I got started, I didn't think about it that much. But yeah, Kurt, number one, fermentation temperature control is number one. Number one. I mean, before water, period, before water. You can, in certain parts of the country, you can not change your water at all and brew great beer. But if you don't have fermentation temperature control, no. Like, so to me, temperature control is number one. Water can be number two. We'll put that as that. But like, yeah, so I've had a, hey, elementary, what's up, man? You need a better pH meter. Actually, I have a good pH meter. I had a crappy little $13 one that I had for a while. But it's called like a doctor meter or doctor something. I have it in my Amazon page underneath here in the video description. But my pH meter, it's like $30, and I thought mine was pretty good. It was not at all. The pH meter that I bought, I can't remember what it's called. I think it's called Dr. Meter or Mr. Meter or something like that. And it's like $30, and you don't need a super high-tech $100 one. You just need something that will get it in a little bit better range. And so that pH meter that I bought actually does awesome, and I don't really need to calibrate it all that long. I've done it all that often. And so I used to have to calibrate the other one like almost every time I opened it. This one I don't need to do that much, and I've been checking my pHs on my mash a little bit more lately, and this meter is way on. But I use it primarily for my sours, but the $13 crap one will get you there for the sours, but not as much for the mash stuff. And so the Mr. Meter or the Dr. Meter or whatever the ones in my Amazon store, that one actually fluctuates based on the temperature of your mash too. So when you're mashing it at 158 degrees and you're drawing out a little bit so you can see where your pH is, that will fluctuate based on the temperature. Well, this like has an auto correction for that temperature, so that's really cool. What's everybody drinking tonight? Elementary, I just watched a video of yours. I can't remember what it was. What one you just put out this last week was pretty good. The oh man, what was it about? I can't even remember. I have a couple of them blurring through my head. Sorry, but I just watched one like 2 days ago. I think you just put it out last week. Speaking of, I have elementary sticker on here. I've got a couple of others that people sent me. If people want some stickers, by the way, who sent me some stickers? I got one from. Well, I got the other ones inside. This one was from Asheville, but Backyard Brewing Company sent me a couple in the mail the other day, so that's awesome. I'm going to put those on the Keyser. I got elementary sticker on the Keyser. If people don't want to, or if people want a sticker of mine, just have to email me, right? So you have to just email me at cityscapebrew@gmail, and I'll send you some in the mail for free. I'll send you a couple of them. So you can share them with friends. You can do whatever. Cityscapebrew@gmail. Not brewing, but cityscapebrew@gmail. I'll send you a couple of stickers in the mail. So send me a little shout out in the Gmail account, and I'll send some over for you. Not drinking tonight. That's all right. You don't have to. It's Sunday. Most people have to work, but I do not because my son actually has a fall break this next week. So I'm going fishing in the morning with him. So that's going to be fun. Nova lager tips. I don't do a ton of lagers. That's one thing. I need to brew more lagers, actually. I actually had somebody message me about a lager the other day and brewing just a kind of a standard Pilsner. And you know what? I need to get on that because I don't do that. I do buy some, and I'll have them just to have. But there's just so many other styles that I've just got a whole list of these ones that I want to brew, and I need to do more lagers because they just take up a little bit more time. But guess what? I have 6 kegs, and there's no reason I can't be lagering one in this kegerator at the same time. If I clear out some of the beers I need to drink, bottled beer and stuff I have stacked in there. But yeah, I need to get on some lagers. So that's a good idea. I'm actually gonna write that down. Hold on a second. More lagering video. That's another one that Elementary did. He did a different lager, and it said everyone needs a lager more, and that's me included. Nova lager for the first time, fermented 65. Didn't clear as much as the lager yeast though. Oh, so you're for the Nova lager? Are you talking about like a full lager with a different yeast? Because I've done a couple of like full lagers, especially for like I did a full Mexican lager, and you can actually do that with like USO 5 and USO 4 as long as you ferment like super cold, like 58, 57 degrees, and they're supposed to be at like 65. They'll take a little bit longer, but they'll kind of give off some of those kind of lager-esque flavors for people who can't get down to the truly lower 50s to actually ferment. Oh, hybrid lager. I'm sorry. I need to look that up. I didn't know what Nova was. Yeah, there's a lot of different yeasts out there, and that's one thing I've been trying to do more of is do some different yeast types because there's like a whole. I mean, everybody sticks to the same olds, right? And that's one thing I'll take a standard recipe I've done before and just pick a different yeast and brew it again or something because I want to see if that yeast is better than the one I had tried before. And sometimes they are, and sometimes they're really not. I mean, sometimes I'm like, yeah, I picked the right yeast the first time, but you live and you learn. And like this last time I did that pumpkin beer that I just got done finishing up with, that Scottish ale from Omega. Never brewed with that one again, but man, that was fast. 48 hours, I think it was done. It's crazy. Nova is a hybrid, I believe. Lager and ale yeast. Okay, cool. I wonder what the is that meant so they can do it at a little bit higher temperature? Do you think? A 1-inch hole punch for a stainless false bottom. You need one of those step drill bits for that generally, for the stainless false bottom. Instead of using a false bottom though, you can always use a bazooka screen. I have that. I use that and it works great. But if you have a step bit, you can buy those in like a 1-inch diameter. They look like like a pyramid. They just step down. But a 1-inch would fit in there. It would help keep it centered. W3470, yeah, it's a pretty common one for lager yeasts. Plasma cutter. Yeah, everybody's got a plasma cutter sitting around. Just do that. I wish. Oh, you can use it warm. It doesn't produce sulfur. That makes sense. Yeah, actually, it's funny. Sometimes the off flavors from some of these different yeasts and different, brewing scenarios are actually a good thing. There's some off flavors that are especially for like Kveikis and stuff that are really good. One thing I will say that like thiols in hazy IPAs, I did that like super thiolized hazy IPA, and that one actually had a little bit of that sulfurish because the thiols are sulfur essentially, and so if you get a little bit more of that introduced without cleaning it up a little bit in some way, shape, or form, like adding some of that the hop material, the hop I don't know, plant material kind of shuts down some of that the thiols, and so it will take away from that sulfur a little bit. But if you get it too thiolized, it can be very sulfury, and I've tasted those in some as well. But yeah, not good in certain beers. Some in some flavored beers are in certain styles are okay. Yours might not be for metal. I don't know. Oh yeah, under pressure you can definitely brew some lagers under pressure without having to worry about temperature control as much. Oh, there you go. Well, so you don't even need that. You can just bring it to work, punch it out. Nice. Preferred the Nova Lager yeast. That's good to know. Cool. All right, now you guys are making me want to brew like a couple of lagers. Maybe I'll do like a winter lager beer. Think of some others that I want to brew, like a winter, a little bit more of a winter lager beer. I wrote that down though, so I'm gonna do some more of that this winter. So that's probably a good like January beer to make. I've got a couple that I want to brew around the holidays and stuff. Elementary, you and I both brewed, I think last year, the Sierra Nevada Celebration Ale, and I'm gonna change up a couple things this year, and I'm gonna try to hone it in just a smidge. But but that's what I'm looking forward to. I look forward to that beer every year. Celebration Ale is like one of the better beers from Sierra Nevada. So I'm gonna change it up just a smidge and brew that one again for sure around Christmas, or in December anyway. So we'll give that one a shot. But that one's a good beer. Super clean, crispy lagers. Can't wait to brew next weekend. What are you brewing next weekend? No problem, Brian. Good to see you on. Baltic Porter, nice. I'm doing my first ever black IPA, so really excited about that. I have tried several really good ones lately, and I'm like, I haven't done a black IPA. I'm totally doing one now. And shout out to the head brewer. There's a little brewery, very small brewery by me called Model A Brewing, and they base their whole brewery off of Prohibition. It's really cool. and they brewed a awesome black IPA that I tried the other day. It was fantastic. I kind of picked the head brewer's brain a little bit on that one, so I'm going to be putting together a recipe here soon. Anybody got some cool plans this fall? They're like now it's starting to cool off and football season is upon us, and anything else going on cool? I need to switch to a very shortly here to a my Farmers Market Blackberry Sour I got behind me. Again, my hazy that I have is done. It's just cold crashed and it's sitting at 45. I need to ramp it down tonight yet a little bit more. Get that thing down to like the mid 30s ish, and then I'm gonna transfer that tomorrow. But that should be really good. It's fantastic smelling already. Dangerously drinkable. That could be a lot of styles, but that's funny that they put that. If that's true, you just pull my chain. Dangerously drinkable. Yeah, actually, I do golf every once in a while. I don't golf as much, but I do. I like to go to Top Golf a lot. So we're gonna be going with some friends this weekend. I'm bringing my son there because he's big into golf. He's only 9, but he's got a little set that he wants to hit some golf balls. So you know what? We'll let him whack some at there while I grab some food and a beer with him. So. London Pride Clonish tomorrow. Cool. That sounds good. Water polo season. Dude, those guys, I'm telling you, that's like really one of the hardest sports. Water polo, holy shit. You gotta actually like be swimming and trying to like do a play and not dying and drowning. Like I would not be able to do that. World Series, yeah, that's right, man. World Series is going on. Everybody forgets about baseball when football comes on, but I tell you what, baseball season is on us. Yeah, man, I will tell you it is fun to watch baseball this time of year when people kind of forget about it. It goes kind of the wayside to some other sports in the fall, depending on if you're a football fan or not. But I think it does just for the general population. And it shouldn't, because baseball this time of year is fun to watch, especially when the World Series start coming on. So that's cool. Walking hurts. Or sitting too long. I don't even know I could get hurt from sitting too long, but apparently you can. So I've done that before. You got tickets for the game? Sweet, man. Just homebrew. That's awesome, man. Take me with you. Can I go in like a clear bag? Yeah, that's right. Swim fast, shoot the ball, and don't drown. That's like the 3 things they tell them. Just like stay above the surface. Just rub it in. You guys get to go to the game, and we don't get to go. That's awesome. All right, time for another. I'm gonna have a sour next, blackberry sour. By the way, I put on this festive shirt just for today, since I have all the pumpkins in the background from my last video. But just here for the booze. By the way, my video that I have tomorrow going out, I have a shirt that I got from the Brew show, which is like you'll have to see the shirt that I'm wearing. But I put the link to his video or his store in there because the shirt I got from him is awesome. It's a Halloween-esque fall shirt. You guys will see it. It's really cool. But check that video out tomorrow at 10 when that thing drops, and you'll see the shirt that I'm wearing is really cool. But shout out to the Brew Show because he had that one on his page, and I snagged one of those from his Etsy store. So let me grab a beer here. raspberries, or blackberry. I keep saying raspberry. Blackberry sour. 6 pounds of blackberries. My wife will let me snag one of these every once in a while. She is a sour fan, so I get the other 3 taps. But now that I'm out a tap, I'm missing one right here until my hazy gets kegged tomorrow. I'm stealing one of hers. Shh, don't tell her. Hey Brian, thanks for jumping on. Elementary, appreciate it. Have a good night, man. Yeah, that's. I'm jealous that you get to go to the game, just homebrew. That's awesome, man. Yeah, Philly just needs to be nicer to people when they come to the stadium to watch their own team, especially when they play the Eagles, because the Philly fans are not exactly known for their sportsmanship. I will tell you, I had videos of some friends that went. They live in Philly to a Vikings game, and I tell you what, they got like heckled the entire way in and out of the stadium. It was crazy. I was like, "Are you serious?" So what's everybody else drinking tonight? Is it just me? Is it everybody else drinking water and calling it a Sunday night, or is it just me? I will tell you, the last couple weekends I've been so busy. I went to yeah, that's right. You can't, if you go to there, you have to like pretend to have like a Philly jersey on. But actually, it's funny that you mentioned the Vikings jersey, because I went to. I live in Charlotte, but I'm a Vikings fan, and so I went to the Charlotte Panthers game. We won last week. That's why I didn't do a live video, because I drank way too much at the game. I didn't drink way too much, but I was tired. And I wasn't going to do a live video last weekend on Sunday, because we went to the game in Charlotte with a bunch of friends, and brought my son and stuff, and we went in, and we don't really get heckled all that much at the Panthers games. It's like, excuse me, the Vikings fans travel really well to Charlotte anyways, and we go there quite often. But if you go, we can wear our jerseys in there. But I have heard of people in Philly, excuse me, not wearing their jersey in and putting it on when they get in, and then taking it off as they're walking out, so they're not getting heckled by people. But when they put it on in the stands, people still heckle them, but they'll kind of get over it when they're sitting in their seats. That's funny. Oktoberfest. I don't have any Oktoberfest here. I do have. I think I have a Sierra Nevada Fest beer I need to drink in there. I might have after this one, after this raspberry sour. Pretty good. But yeah, last week I had so many different plans that I couldn't do a live video, so I kind of waited a couple weeks to do that. But it was fun. Last couple weeks we've been doing a lot of different stuff. I'm actually, because I have this week off, I'm gonna film a bunch of different things for the upcoming month. So if you have things you want me to like talk about, even if it's not like a brew day, if it's just stuff like you want to know about, go ahead and leave me a comment on here, or shoot me an email or whatever, and I will try and put something together, because there's always stuff that I always feel like I'm missing and when people want to know more about. And so I've been putting together some videos based on that, but I want to know a little bit more about like what you guys want to know about. So, and maybe that's not always obvious. So if there's things that as you're brewing, you're like, am I doing this right or whatever? Well, great. I'm also going to be doing, and I'm making a point to do this, I'm going to be brewing at some different locations on purpose. We're going to be brewing at a couple of friends' houses that have different systems. So we'll see more than what I do, essentially. And brewing on those type of systems will help people who have those different systems learn about them a little bit more, or maybe something similar, right? So like more like a all-in-one claw hammer system, for instance. So I want to do that. Give me some sponsors. Yeah. Chief. Speaking of shiny fermenters, here's Cheeseology in the house. He is a shiny fermenters. That's right. So I need to go over to his house. This is Adam, by the way. He's starting a new YouTube channel called Cheeseology that we're working on. He's gonna be starting that and teaching people how to make cheese. But he also brews beer, and so I need to go over there and use some of his shiny equipment to showcase other people's stuff and how they brew beer. Maybe it's not as good as my beer, Adam, but it's pretty good. I've had his beer. Adam brews good beer. I'm just kidding. Yeah. So there's so many different systems, and one of the things that I don't think I want to be like hesitant of doing, but one of the things that I want to eventually do is a brew in a bag type of video, because I don't brew in a bag. And one of the things I'll need to do that though is like a bigger pot, because for brew in a bag you have to have your full boil volume, but also have enough for all of the grains that you're going to do. So if I was going to do it in my 10-gallon kettle, I would have to kind of scale down, or at least do less of, or a smaller version of a beer in order to fit it all in there with the grains, I think. So, or I'd be like this close to the top, right? And so I really want to do a brew in a bag video, and I kind of want to show people how and what I would do if I did a brew in a bag. But I also want to, I kind of stick to the same, system that I do. I'm not going to change to a brew in a bag, but I do want to do one for people, because I think there's a lot of people who do that just because it's easier, or there's a lot of systems that are brew in a bag-esque, if you will, or that use that type of like a grain basket inside of like a grain father or a claw hammer system or something like that. Hey, good night, Just Home Brew. Good night. Thanks for dropping on, man. Appreciate you. Cheeseology. I was just showing. Adam is one of the guys I brewed with for the maple pecan brown ale, the sticky nuts video that I did, and so I was just showing people the award that we won just a little bit ago. So you can kind of thank Adam a little bit. He helped, and him and his wife helped with this beer, and we brewed and we shared that at the beer and branding event and got People's Choice. Woo! So that was cool. We high-fived a bunch of times after winning that. It was cool. Thank you. I appreciate you saying that my beer is good. So people who are out here can verify that I brew good beer. Yeah, that's a good point. I could always do a brew in a bag type of video, and then also have it like topped off at the end, so people can kind of see how that works too. Yeah, because I used to, when I brewed, I started kind of not all grain. I started with extract, but I still brewed full boils. But I know a lot of people, when they start, especially extract, they brew and then they add to it and fill up at the end, and which is totally fine to do, especially when you first get started. As long as your water is on point, I think it's totally fine. You have a 20-gallon Blickman Brew Easy. Have a converted Spike Flex fermenter, converted to brew on. 15-gallon. Yeah, so I would want a 15-gallon kettle if I did brew in a bag all the time. Definitely a 15-gallon at a minimum. And then the 15-gallon, I would definitely get a pulley system too. Like I'd be pulley that thing up. I'd be hooking it in the garage so I could just pulley it up. Even with the ones that have the grain basket, not just like the the bags themselves, but the ones even with the grain basket, like the pulley is the way to go. You gotta pull that thing up, and And some of those pulleys just make it way easier to lift up versus just kind of trying to burn yourself and hook little things on and all that kind of stuff. Seems to be the easier of the options to go. Sweet, man, I need to go fishing at your house because I'm going fishing tomorrow because I am off work, so I'm going tomorrow. It's going to be cold as crap, but I am dressing for it, and I'm going out anyway. Do some bass fishing in the morning. Going to be doing a couple of beers. I'm going to brew this week with a friend of mine, again, doing a hazy IPA. And we're going to be testing that difference between whether oats matter or not. And we talked a little bit about that earlier. But yeah, we're going to be brewing that. We talked about the kind of the North Carolina Homebrew Festival that we're going. Adam's my friend on here from Cheeseology. He's going to that as well. So we're going to be doing that in a couple of weeks. A couple of the beers that I brewed. The pumpkin beer recipe again is coming on tomorrow on my channel, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So that pumpkin beer video is gonna be awesome. I just drank like 3 of those. It was fantastic. Went really, really well. That one's gonna be dropping tomorrow at 10 a.m. I have the hazy video that's gonna be coming out 2 weeks from tomorrow. Drop a video every 2 weeks, right? That one should be ready by Wednesday though, and both of those we're gonna be bringing to the event that we're doing in 2 weeks. So it's gonna be cool. Can't wait for that. And then we're gonna try a whole bunch of good beers, and Adam's gonna make me crab legs, I think. Crab legs and steak is my request. Bacon wrapped filet mignon and crab legs. Or I can just have like a hot pocket. I'm not picky. But hopefully it won't be 31 degrees when I'm sleeping in a tent that night because it's gonna be cold as crap. Or at least it was last year. It was cold this morning, but I can deal with 40s. If it starts getting to the 30s, man, a hotel might be calling my name. You bought 7 pounds of crab legs today? No, you didn't. Did you? All right. If so, we're definitely coming over to your place for dinner that night. So anybody, what's everybody drinking? Everybody got something? I know Adam drinks all of his beer in like 3 days when he brews, so you know there's that. But other than that, does anyone else have beer left over that they drink? All right. I'm just checking, make sure I don't have any missed comments here. But anyway, so we talked about some fall beers. We talked about some events. If there are things that you want me to do in the upcoming week or so when I have off, I'm gonna film some videos and do some other things for the channel. But let me know if you guys want to know something specific because I've done a bunch of grain to glass videos and I'm gonna do some more this fall. We talked about I'm gonna do a black IPA. I'm gonna do some type of either vanilla porter or coconut porter. I can't remember which one I want to do. I got a lager. I'm going to do a different lager recipe with some type of winter lager that I'm going to do. Excuse me. I'm going to also do a different version of my Sierra Nevada Celebration Ale I did last year, which I think if I can tweak it just a smidge, it's going to turn out awesome. And that's one of my favorite beers to drink all year anyway. So I'm going to do another clone of that one. And then what's the other one I was thinking about the other day? Oh, the cranberry ginger sour. So I have 5 beers that I want to do in the next 3 months-ish. So we'll have a lot of grain to glass videos. But I want to do a bunch of different videos on like how to do different things, some DIY stuff, some like tips and tricks type of videos. So if you want me to just talk about some different stuff too, let me know, and happy to put some stuff on the channel for you guys. Yeah, it goes up. It's a race after carbon to see how quick it's gone. That's true. I think Adam holds the world record for how fast a keg goes afterwards. But other than that, people have close seconds. Like 4 days seems like a lot. It's almost double, probably. But No, honestly, some beers go really fast because I know I sometimes like purposely make myself get different beers because I like ones more than others that I have on tap, but I know that I need to drink the other ones up too, so I kind of make myself drink some of the other ones. But if I had a choice of just like picking one of them, I would have drank, one of those kegs gone before the others. But yeah, honestly, again, I mentioned at the beginning of the video though, if you guys have different stickers or you want to do like a sticker swap, like this guy did, Backyard Brewing Company did. He sent me that. It's going on the Keyser. He sent me actually a couple different ones. Cool, thank you. Oop. That one. So I'm going to throw those guys on the Keyser, but if you guys want free stickers, email me, right? I got cityscapebrew@gmail. Cityscape Brew, not brewing, but Cityscape Brew at Gmail. Get some free stickers, and I'll throw you some in the mail. You can share them, do whatever, and stick them places. Cool. They got a little QR code too on there that brings them to my YouTube channel. So kind of cool to share for people who are new into brewing or who want to come over and like scan your, refrigerator or something and see where you get all of your cool brewing tips. So, but yeah, I'll send some in the mail for you. So that's awesome. Thanks, Kurt, man. Good evening. Thank you. Thanks for stopping by. Appreciate you guys. Good night. Yeah, the beers I have one I'm going to be carving up starting tomorrow. That's going to be awesome. I'm very excited to try that one because it should be a really good hazy IPA too. I need to fill a spot in that a kegerator right there for that one. And that's probably the last hazy I'll do for a while. And then I'm going to do some of these other beers because I got to do about 5 or 6 of them, turn them around. But a couple of them, this hazy included, and the pumpkin beer are going to go for that event. So hopefully those will kick through a couple kegs and make me brew some more beer. So that is the sour. That's all gone. I'm gonna grab one out of the fridge. We'll find out what I got left in there. So, in addition to the 4 kegs I have, we'll see what goodies I got in the refrigerator here. Oh, I gotta do my starter starting tomorrow too. I should actually do this tonight real quick. Should I set this out and do a starter? I'll do this tomorrow because I need to warm it up a little bit before I throw it in there anyway. I'll do it tomorrow. Well, speaking of lagers, I have a Pilsner in here. I also have, what is this? Nope. But I do have the pumpkin season. What's that down there? Got a couple down the bottom, but I'm gonna try this one because I only have one of these left. This one I had on there the other day, but speaking of my pumpkin beer that I just got done, I've got a Sugar Creek Pumpkin Blaster, which I think I had this a couple of weeks ago. It's kind of a cool logo, which has got like a hot dog looking guy in there. But anyway, so Pumpkin Blaster, German Pumpkin Ale. I tried this one. This is one of the ones that I was talking about though that has like a little too much on the spicy side, so a little too much. You want me to do the starter live? I can. It'll take me like 2 seconds. I can do it. If 4 people tell me to do the starter live, I will do it right now. And Polly, you're number 1. So if 3 other people tell me to do the starter, I'll do it right now. And then, but I can do that real quick because it's that thing with the yeast starters that I have. I can do it in like 5 minutes. But this Pumpkin Blaster beer is really, really good. This one is, or excuse me, it's good, but it's good for like 1, right? So you have the pumpkin beer brands, and some of them are like way too like pumpkin spice, right? All right, we got Do It, yeah. Paul, you can't count yourself twice, man. Looks like you're doing the starter. So Kevin, are you counting as a starter choice? Because I have Polly, I have Adam, and then if you would be the 3rd. So, but anyway, I'm gonna do this one. We'll see if we can get a couple others or 1 more. If Kevin says do the starter, I'll do the starter right now. I'd have to go get it though. So Someone else will have to entertain you for like 4 seconds while I get all my stuff. But I can do it right here. It's super easy. So in comparison to mine that I just brewed, right? This one is a little on the clearer side. Mine will clear up. But it's also a little lighter than mine. Mine's a little darker than this one. But when I taste this one, it's like super cinnamony and like pumpkin pie and like, whoa, I want more than one, right? All right, Av says yes. Kevin says do it. That is, I think that's 4, right? So you got Polly, Adam, Kevin, and Av. Okay, all right, 4, I got it. So I'm gonna pull up my yeast right now. So and then when I get done telling this story, I will go get my stuff for my yeast starter. Because I gotta start it anyway. So this is a yeast starter with London Fog, which is the White Labs WLP006. So one of the things I need to do is I need to like warm it up a little bit and shake it. And I actually store these things upside down. And the reason I do that, especially these new ones that have the caps on them, is because the yeast tend to get lodged down where at the bottom. So if you store them like this, the harder stuff gets lodged in this little hole in here. So what I need to do is like, I store them like this on purpose because then they all kind of lodge down here and it's easier to like mix up. So it says before you start like warming it to room temperature, you need to shake it and you need to get it all like mixed up inside of the package a little bit. So like to help kind of get it all, liquid again, you need to really break it up. So I kind of store it upside down on purpose like that so it doesn't get all lodged in the cap. But I'm gonna let that kind of sit on the counter here for a little bit and I'll grab my stuff in a minute. But back to this pumpkin blaster beer, and the reason why I think I brewed the beer that I brewed, and which will come out again tomorrow at 10 o'clock, is this one here is going to be, it's almost like, pumpkin pie to the face, like way too much cinnamon, way too much like sweetness, and it's a little too much. You don't want to have like more than one of them, and that's why I still have one of these after buying like a 4-pack of them like a couple of weeks ago, is because it's like almost too much. And so when you drink it, you get the pumpkin pie flavor, but it's like the cinnamon and the sweetness and stuff. It's like you don't want another one like after you have one. I mean, it's good, but it's like, you have to really like pumpkin pie to keep drinking this stuff, in my opinion. So the one that I brewed is it's a little bit less of that pumpkin pie in your face, and a little bit less of the spices, and there's no cinnamon, no nutmeg, and a little bit less sweetness. So it's, not gonna lie, I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but toot toot. Watch that video tomorrow at 10. Yeah, everybody's signing into other accounts to make me do it. So let me do this. Give me 5 seconds. I'm gonna go run out. I'm gonna grab my yeast starter equipment. I've got a bottle of sanitizer so I can sanitize the stuff real quick. And I will show you how I make a yeast starter in real time. It will literally take me like 5 minutes to put it all together. So I'm gonna go grab all my stuff. I'm gonna make the yeast starter. I'll put it on a stir plate and I'll show you. I'll be done in like 5 minutes. That's how quick it is. And one of the videos that I've done before in the past is on how to make these little yeast starter pint jars, and I will show you how I do that. So 1 second, give me 2 seconds, and I will go. I'm gonna use the bathroom too because I've been drinking a couple of beers. So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna grab all my yeast starter stuff. I'll be back in just a half a second. You guys can entertain yourself in the little chat section, and I'll be back in just a few moments. Stay tuned, and then we will make the yeast starter with the London Fog, London Fog yeast. 1 second. All right, you guys are in luck. We're going to make canned wort starter in like 5 seconds. Here, hold on, let me get my thing. I even have my stir plate here so I can give you a little tip on how I do that. Back with your refill of your cider, awesome. Yes, definitely going to use the canned wort I made, Polly. I have that right here. So if you haven't watched that video, this is like the condensed canned wort. And guess what? It's like the exact same thing as this condensed canned wort. They sell like Northern Brewer, or like they sell a bunch of different versions of that online. And they're like $7 or $8 a piece. This is like, I don't know, I think it equals out to be like less than $1 a piece. So let me show you how I do this really quick. This is gonna be, someone needs to time I need to time myself here. So it's almost 10 o'clock. Let's see, when it hits 10 o'clock here, I'm going to start a timer and see how fast I can do this. All right, so before I do that, I need to sanitize my flask here. Actually, I'll just start sanitize my flask. I'm gonna I'm gonna start a little timer on my watch or my phone. That's a good idea. And then I'm gonna show you how long it takes me to start this timer. This is why the condensed wort is a big deal. All right. So once we get everything ready, I'm going to use this to pop the lid off the top of that canned wort, and then I'll show you how I do it. So assuming you have this washed and sanitized, and assuming you have this pulled out a little bit and shake it up a little bit, I'm going to show you how fast you can make a wort, or a yeast starter. So first, I have my stir plate. You don't need one of these, not a necessity, but super highly recommended. Get my little stir bar out of there. I will put it on this later. For right now, it doesn't need it to get started. Throw that guy on there. But I am going to sanitize this guy, and I'm going to sanitize a little piece of tin foil to go on the top. So I can set that in there. And it's going to go on the top of my flask when it's done. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to spray the top of this, and then I'm going to spray my little stir bar in it. I'm just going to let that chill out for a minute. So let's start a timer. Make sure that that thing is clean. We're assuming we cleaned and sanitized all this stuff, right? So we're going to start a little timer and a stopwatch. And we're going to say, go. We're going to do it right now, right? So we got 3 seconds in. We are going to take our yeast starter canned wort. We're going to give it a good shake with holding the lid on, because these things don't have the ring on them because I took them off, but as long as it's popped down, you can still use them. So I'm going to give that a good shake so it doesn't lodge anything on the bottom. Take my little can opener or something, but you can use like anything really, just pop the top off. Right? So you unseal it. You should hear a little vacuum part. Take that little lid off. You take this guy. Take it on here. Pour that guy right in there. Done. Then we need a glass of purified water. Where did I put that? I have that inside. So cheating, but I have to go get it. So I have a glass of filtered water. Thought I brought this out here already. That I got just from my refrigerator filter. Totally fine. Right? Throw that guy up there, and we're going to fill it up to the 1 liter mark. In this case, I have 800 and I have 1200, so I'm going to do it right in between here, right? So I'm going to fill that guy up. The 1 liter mark. Oh, I'm a smidge short on water, so even with the timer going, I'm gonna get just a little tiny bit of water and I'll be right back. All right, now we're at 2 minutes. Man, I think I have this done in another minute. I'm gonna pour this thing in here till we get to the 1 liter mark. Boom, right there. Okay, we're at the basically 1 liter mark, right? Stir it up. You don't really have to, it's fine. Now we're gonna take our yeast, make sure again, it's really good mixed up. I'm gonna give it a good spray around the lid real quick. Sanitizer. Open it up without trying to spill it as much as I can on the outside and rim of this guy. I want to just pour it kind of down the center, so I'm not gonna lift that out. I'm gonna be very careful. Gotta pour it down the center here because I don't want to spill on the sides very much because I can't get it way in there. But I am going to, once it's all the way in there, I am going to squeeze it down, make sure I got everything out into this thing. But it should be, if you shake it up good enough, it should be most of it. And I can kind of see through, because of the light, I can kind of see through that I've gotten most of it out of there. But yeah, you can squeeze it down, make sure you get all that out of there. And then, easy trick of the trade for these. Take a magnet like this, take your stir bar like this, and you put it on the end of the glass, and you can magnet it way down so you have to drop it in. You can put it on here. And let me show you this little trick of the trade. So you got that there, stir bar. Just lower it down in there, into the bottom. That way you're not breaking the glass. You got your stir bar on the bottom. Look at that, you can even see it, look at that guy. Now we can put this thing on our stir plate. But first we're gonna take our sanitized little piece of tin foil. I'm gonna put it right on the top, like that. And voila, in about 4 minutes and 8 seconds with explaining to you guys, we have a yeast starter with yeast going on in there. I could have probably done that in 3 minutes if I wasn't talking about it. So I just kind of stir that up like this. Then we're gonna actually put this thing on the stir plate with a little magnet in there, and we're gonna let it do its thing for about 24 hours. And then I cold crash this thing in the refrigerator behind me, just like this, as soon as it's done fermenting. And I cold crash this thing down, and I keep my little yeast cake on the bottom. When I'm going for my brew day, I will decant off all of the little spent beer that rises to the top. I'll keep that little yeast cake on the bottom, and then I will pour or swish that around, make a little yeast slurry, and pour that in, to my beer that I'm brewing on Wednesday. So here we go. So that's it. 4 minutes yeast starter. That's the reason why these little mason jars full of that canned wort are awesome, because you can do a yeast starter in like 3 minutes. So what would normally have taken me, a night of heating up, DME, and then making sure that it's all clean or whatever, and sanitized and all that stuff, and then make sure it doesn't boil over, cooling it down, all that kind of stuff. You do it once. You just pressurize the cans, ready to go. So I have a whole video on how to do the canned wort. If you haven't seen that one, go check it out on the page. But this thing, man, can wort into a starter in less than, well, I should say, without me having to run back into the thing and without explaining to you, in about 3 minutes. So less than 4 minutes with explaining, or about 4 minutes with explaining. So for those of you guys just joining, we got the White Labs London Ale Fog. I did a little quick yeast starter using my condensed canned wort option that I did on a video where I did about, I don't know how many of these I got, probably a dozen, 15 or so. And I make a wort starter in 3 minutes, right? And so you boil it and you basically cool it in one batch, and it cools overnight. It sucks the lids down. It gets in these little pints. And then these are about half of what you need for a yeast starter. You just add some filtered water, like I did out of my refrigerator. If you have a little filter on your refrigerator, and you're good to go. Yeah, definitely better than doing DME each time. And since I do it all at one time, I just put the DME amounts in each one of these little deals. You throw it in the pressure cooker. It does it one time, and you have 15 yeast starters. It'll last me like all year. Because I don't use yeast starters for every batch that I do, but it'll last me for the entire year. Then I only really do it once for the entire year worth of brewing. And in some cases, if you don't brew as much as I do, then it might last you, several years. And these yeast or these canned worts can last up to 4 years on the shelf. Shelf stable for more than 4 years. Pretty crazy. Because there's nothing in there that is going to have any bacteria or stuff like that, because the canning process actually kills all of that potential. So it's shelf stable for years. So very, very cool. I'm going to put this on the yeast stir plate after tonight. So I'm just going to leave it sit here behind me here for the rest of the little live. But I will put that on my stir plate after we get done here. So any questions about that? Any questions about making a yeast starter super quick? Basically just adding a yeast starter is basically a small beer, right? It's just it's a 10, I think it's 1.040 is what they go for yeast starters. Let's actually look at this one. I think it is. It should make a wort that is 1.040. By the way, this is an old can of the fast pitch. This is what they used to look like. I still have an unopened one. But I can't imagine this stuff goes wrong. So in there too, there's wort and malt extract, or excuse me, malt extracted sugar, and then yeast nutrients in there, right? So it's yeast nutrient as well. So as the yeast you pour it in there, it's got that, it's ready to go. I think it says 1040. It doesn't say it on this can. But anyway, most of these like proper starters or fast pitches, they're, when you make the condensed wort, it'll be 1.040 wort essentially, and all you're doing is getting your yeast to know what it's doing before you put it in a beer. So very, very cool. All right, what's everybody drinking? I made a yeast starter in 3 minutes, and I'm assuming I'm entertaining you guys, but I just want to know what you guys are drinking. I'm drinking this pumpkin. What's this thing called again? Oh, Pumpkin Blaster from Sugar Creek. It's a good beer. Again, it's a little too much spice and stuff that I like in my beers, but that's why I'm putting out my pumpkin beer recipe video tomorrow. 10 a.m. it'll drop, and so you guys can check that out. That it will be a beer that I did that is similar in color to this one, but it has less of the spices. It still has the same amount of pumpkin, but it's less sweet, less pumpkin pie, and it'll be one that you want to have more than one of. But that'll drop tomorrow at 10, and it's a pretty good beer. I had several of them today, so it was very good. There's some guys who brew canned wort with a pressure canner and store it for later and either starters or modify. Yeah, that's what I did. So you can brew it basically, or you can can it all at the same time. But that's essentially what I did. Is I did the canned wort version in these little pint, or I think these are half pint glasses, or mason jars. But yeah, that's what I did. I did the canned wort version. I mixed that up. But I have a video on how to do the canning process if you're interested in doing that. It just saves a bunch of time. And I will tell you what, you don't need to buy a pressure canner. You can just borrow one. Like, if you're going to do it like once a year or once every 4 years, if you don't brew as much as I do, then just borrow somebody from like your grandma or somebody who has one, right? So you can do that and heat it all up. And as long as it gets to that boiling temperature, I can't remember what the temp is, but you have to make sure you're killing all the bacteria and stuff. That's why you have to use the pressure canner. You can't just use the boil method. Brent, welcome from Western Australia. Do you ever freeze your yeast starters? No, I don't freeze them. Freezing will kill most yeast, but not the starters. Are you meaning the canned wort part of it? Or do you mean actually after I've added yeast to it? I have a 40 quart canner. Yeah, we can Yeah, I don't remember how many quarts mine is, but I can do more cans than I did when I did the yeast canned wort. I keep saying yeast. Canned wort for the yeast starters. But yeah, I don't remember how many. I think mine was 25 quarts or something like that. But yeah, you can get a ton. And you can do them at full volumes too. So if you wanted to, you could do them so you just have to pour it in, pour the yeast, and you're done. I did them in this condensed version so I could get smaller smaller mason jars, and then just add some filtered water to it. So these would be smaller to store. So you can do it either way. It does not matter either way. Hey, thanks, Adam. We'll see you, man. You freeze the wort for crawls in. Okay. And guile pitches. Yeah, you could do that if it was just wort. If you add the yeast in it, the freezing may kill the yeast, and it depends on which strains. So certain strains like Kveikis can be dried and frozen afterwards, but a lot of them can't, and so they won't be viable after really high or low temperatures. Excuse me. But you could do the wort itself, the actual like canned wort itself. Yeah, you could do some of that. And I don't know what the difference would be for freezing it versus canning it. Canning it is shelf stable again for like 4 years. So I don't know that it would be much benefit to freeze it. It would just take up freezer space. But if you're talking about a different yeast, then certain yeast need to be either frozen or refrigerated. Like Kveik yeast, you can dry. Like I've had people, they'll wash their yeast or whatever, and they'll even put it on a. They'll take even their trube, and they'll put it on like a baking sheet, and they'll spread it out, and they'll dry it out, and even put it in a dehydrator and dry out the Kveik yeast, and then you can break it up into like little chunks and put it in freezer bags and put it in the freezer and reuse the Kveik yeast. So that's one of the few that you can do that to. You can't do that to just any old dry or liquid yeast, but Kveik specifically you can do that for, because they used to use these special like I don't know, it's like almost like a spoon with like a bunch of little notches on it, and they used to like dip off the yeast off the top of the beer and save it that way for their next beers. Are they freezing 1 to 2 quarts for bottling conditioning? Okay, there you go. Yeah, and you can save some wort. Some people do that for like a little like rehydration for their yeast, for dry yeast and stuff. I don't do that. If I'm going to rehydrate yeast, I'll just do it in a very, very small amount of water. But everybody has their own little process, and that's what's fun about brewing. Everybody has their own little, process about what they're going to do, how they're going to do it. I've been seeing some videos on freezing the finished starter with glycerin in vials and then banking them for overbuild. Oh, okay. Well, I have not seen that. That's cool. I would imagine it's got to be a specific yeast strain though, because not all yeast strains will permit freezing. Actually, it's funny because you say that. Like, I think even the vial that I have from White Labs, I think it literally says don't freeze it on here. Oh yeah, it does say that. So it's like, it says, this thing says right by my finger here. It says do not freeze. I don't know if you can read that. Oh, it's not. Anyway, right here it says do not freeze on here. It says store contents at do not freeze. So there's 35 to 39 Fahrenheit, 2 to 4 degrees Celsius, do not freeze. But that doesn't mean it would all die, I imagine, if it's all frozen. But I don't know. I mean, maybe it's certain strains. It's got to be certain strains, I would imagine, because this you couldn't freeze most White Lab yeast, I'd imagine. Now, like dry yeast, I don't even know if you could freeze those. I don't know if it would kill them if they're in their dry form, but I don't know. Because I have a couple. Let me look. I doubt they're gonna say recommended to freeze them, but let me see. let's look at, I got one from the Lullamond, and I have a Safale 05, US 04, excuse me. Let's see what it says. Does it say storing temperature? No, it just says temperature range of fermentation on that one. Oh, you know why I got this one? Okay, so this is a cool one. This is a Lullamond American East Coast Ale Yeast, which is their New England IPA version, right? But it's super old. It's like from, well, I wouldn't say super old, but in yeast time, it's super old. It's like 2021. Hard to read, but 2021 right here, right? Circled. It's expired. However, I think we could bring this back with a yeast starter. And I think I might try that. That's a good video to do. I got this from somebody a while ago, and they're like, it's expired. And I'm like, it's not. I mean, it's dried. So it's not been opened. It's fine. So I wouldn't probably pitch this in without making a yeast starter out of it. But I think we can bring this guy back to life. So I think I might do that with a video to kind of show that you can bring yeast, that even expired dry yeast, back to life. So long as they're dry, number one, they last a lot longer, and you make a yeast starter, I think you can probably get some action back in it. Oh, it needs the glycerin to stop forming icicle. Okay, I see. So yeah, I don't have glycerin to do that. So I have not. I've never even seen a video to do that. I'm kind of interested though. I might look that up. 04 British yeast. Yep. So the flask and stir plate, the exact ones that I use, are in my Amazon store. So below this video and every video that I do, I put a link to my Amazon store. You can take a look at it. And I will have that same flask that I use and the same stir plate that I use linked in there. They're really inexpensive. I do everything inexpensive. The links that I put in my Amazon store, by the way, you guys, it doesn't cost you any more to purchase stuff through there. It just helps the channel out. We just get a little bit of a kickback from people ordering stuff on there. So I appreciate people who do that, but it doesn't cost you any more. It goes to the same exact webpage for Amazon, but it's the same stuff that I've used. And I like to put the same stuff just because people are like, well, I don't know if this flask is better or this stir plate's better or whatever. Well, I can't recommend all of them, but I can say the ones that I've used and whether they're good or not. And so the ones that are good are the things that I've used, and the things that are in there are all stuff that I've used, including, like, I put some t-shirts. I don't know if I put this one in there, but I have t-shirts from all my videos and stuff I even put in there. So like everything that you see in my videos that I've used is probably in my Amazon store. But yeah, I have the flask, I have the stir plate. Those work amazing, by the way. So I know they work, so that's why I put them in there, and I want people to be able to replicate my brewing experiences. So yeah, go check it out. It's in my Amazon store, in my video description below. Is my fridge still open? No, it's not. Was it open earlier? No, it's not open now. But I can, I'm going to put these back in there because they're going to stay cold. It's kind of seeming a little empty because it's I'm missing cake out of there. Stir my little stir guy here. They got my little skull decorations and my pumpkins and stuff up there because I did my pumpkin beer video, or finished it out today. So you guys check that out tomorrow. My favorite mainstream beer, good question. So I like a lot of different beers, but if I had to pick a favorite beer, or are you talking like a favorite all-time beer, like one version of a beer, or like a favorite brewery mainstream? I'll do both. So I think a standard beer, when I'm talking like an American IPA style beer, I like a Bell's Two Hearted Ale. If I'm gonna go to a brewery and order something that's just doesn't have a lot of craft beers, but has like some bigger commercial craft, if you want to call them craft beers, then I would say Bell's Two Hearted Ale. Sierra Nevada Pale Ale is up there. I think their Celebration Ale from Sierra Nevada that they do in December is fantastic. One of my favorite beers of all time. But if I like West Coast style IPAs, and so I do a lot of hazies and stuff, but I still like a good West Coast IPA, something that has some maltiness, some versions of a little bit of citrus, but it literally just has some hoppy, good malty characteristics. One thing I think that I like about Bell's specifically, Bell's brand, is their bottles, or they use a different yeast strain that makes their it's a clean ale yeast, but it has like a citrusy kind of almost flavor to it, like a sweetness almost to their yeast that gives off this flavor. And it's their house yeast, and Imperial makes it for them now. It's called Imperial A62 or A64. I think it's A62, but you can't buy it. You can buy it at their at Bell's website. They actually sell their recipes and their yeast in kits. But you can actually just buy a 6-pack of Bell's Two Hearted Ale and actually get their yeast from their bottles because they don't filter them. So what you do is you just take like a 6-pack of bottles. You drink, or you very slowly pour them out in like a pint glass, and then you save the small little bits of the bottom. You put them in a little mason jar like this guy, like a half pint. You put it in a little small mason jar, and then you ramp up like a 1/4 ounce of a yeast starter. And you can even use the canned wort, like I was talking before. Use a small little 1/4, like maybe to a half of a cup or something like that, and you just like start a yeast starter out of a couple of little 12-ounce bottles. And I mean, drink 2 or 3 of them. Put them in there, like the small little runnings at the end that you would normally try not to mix in your beer. And then save those, mix them up, put them in there, just ramp it up, and after about 2-3 days, ramp it up to a whole liter. And then make their same beer out of that yeast. It's the best. And so I actually did a side-by-side comparison of my Bell's Two Hearted Ale, their Oberon Ale, and their what they call their hazy, but it's really not a traditional hazy. It's called a Bell's Official, which is actually really good, by the way. You should try it if you haven't already. And you use their yeast out of their cans or bottles to make those same beers, and they're fantastic. And I actually preferred my beer over the original one when I had my wife like mix a bunch of them up and do like a blind taste test. And I actually preferred my beer because it was fresher, because it was just newer, but it tasted the exact same. I couldn't believe I made that beer, but better in my garage because it was fresher. It was awesome. Larry pulled a sample from their beer. Yeah, it was honestly like it's one of the coolest things I've ever done. It was harvest the yeast and reuse it. I used it in 3 different beers. I used it in their Oberon, their Official, and their Bell's Two Hearted, and it was all very good. Their yeast strain is amazing. It's like a clean ale, but it's got this really kind of mellow, almost citrusy kind of aftertaste, and I think that's what makes their West Coast IPA so good. It's just really good. Are you talking about Larry Brews and Barbecues guy from YouTube? That's awesome. West Coast IPA, that's basically the Bell's Two Hearted Ale. So that's it's Bell's, their Two Hearted Ale is a West Coast IPA. And really, the BJCP, which is the Beer Judge Certification Program, that's what it stands for, Beer Judge Certification Program. Their BJPC style recommends for a West Coast IPA as an example of what BJCP should taste like is Bell's Two Hearted Ale. So that is the kind of trademark West Coast IPA. But just because of that, I have, it's not just because of that I like it, but because that specific beer itself has that yeast in it, I think it is what makes it. Their house yeast is really good. Now, Paulie, somebody brought that up here a bit ago about freezing small vials of yeast. So there must be some videos on YouTube about that, but no, I have not seen somebody do that. But the Herkit BLU guy up above asked about that and said you need glycerin to do that, and freezing some yeast starters in vials to bank them. And so, no, I have not seen that. But anytime I want to brew a Bell's beer, I'm just gonna buy a 6-pack, because if you buy yeast at the store, it's gonna cost you what, $13 US dollars, right? Guess what? The 6-pack of bottles might cost you $8, or whatever, $7.99, $8.99, or whatever. Well, that's the same as buying a yeast, and you get 6 free beers. It's like buying a yeast and get 6 free beers for free. All you have to do is pour a little bit of yeast out of each one and ramp up a starter, and you're good to go. But you get 6 free beers, you get to drink out of it. Win-win, that's right, Bali. You're drinking a Bell's Hazy IPA right now. Is that the official, Ty? Bell's official? That's a good one. I've brewed that one before, actually. In my fridge here. Awesome. I don't have it here. I brewed it here, though. Ty, you came to the right channel for beer brewing, man. Ask me any questions you want. Seriously, pick my brain. I'm an open book. So if you want to learn about beer brewing, or you have questions about it, let me know. Honestly, that's what the channel is all about. It's all about helping you guys brew beer and teaching you things that I wish I knew when I first got started brewing. So welcome to the club. Beer brewing is fun. I've done a couple ciders. They're good too. I don't mind a cider. I do hate some kettle sours, which are cider-esque, if you will, but still beers. How many batches do I do a year? I brew a couple times a month, so 20, 25-ish. Sometimes I brew more or less, depending on what time of year it is, but sometimes I brew more because I'll be doing like a competition, or because I'm doing an event. Like this month I'm brewing a lot because I'm brewing 2 extra kegs for an event that I'm going to. And so sometimes there'll be more than several, but it's really funny because sometimes I'll go like a month without brewing, and I'll do other videos, and then I'll have to brew like 4 beers because my kegs are running out here. I've got some other competition, and I'll be brewing like every weekend. And so it just kind of works out. Like some months I brew like 4, and some other months I brew like 0, but it equals out to be about 2 beers a month or so, I'd say. So probably about 25 beers, 25 batches or so a year. I'm on the East Coast. I'm right outside Charlotte, North Carolina. But I don't have a brewery. I just have a brewing channel, and I have all this stuff in my garage that my friends drink when they come over here. Yeah, I like SO4. So I pulled that out of my fridge earlier. So SO4 Safe Ale SO4 yeast is a really good yeast. One thing I will say, if you want it to be like a clean ale yeast, and it can get some funky flavors if it's brewed at warmer temperatures, I like to brew that a little colder than normal. So I brew the SO4 at about 63, 64 maybe, and ish, I should say. That's what I set my temperature controller at. But I like to have my clean ale yeast at about 67, so a couple of degrees less. No, I don't package in cans. I will keg everything, and in some cases, like today, I was trying to get rid of one of my kegs that's in there because I'm going to be kegging another one tomorrow. So I will bottle some. So, but sometimes I'll bottle after I keg, or sometimes if I have too much in a keg, I'll bottle and then use the little tablets to carbonate them. But a lot of times I'll just bottle after it's kegged. But no, I do all 5-gallon, 5.5-gallon batches. Nothing big, nothing distributing. I just do everything for me and my family and friends that want to drink beer. That's it. And for the YouTube channel, because you guys are rock. Yeah, Hazy's Hazy Hearted IPA. Hazy Hearted? Is that a different one that they have for Bell's? I need to look that up. Bell's Official is the one they're hazy normally, but they may have made a different one. Let me look up. I'm doing some reconnaissance right here. Bell's. Oh, Hazy Hearted. Yeah, look at that. There's a new one. Oh, now you got me all worried, Ty. Now I need to brew this. Because the official was their other Hazy IPA. All right, now you guys are going to get to see what my reconnaissance is all about here, because I'm going to share my screen with you. Ooh, look at this. Hazy Hearted IPA. I have not brewed this one yet. Ty, you win for the night because you showed me this, and now I really, really want to brew this. Find near me. I'm totally going to do that. Hearted variety pack. Okay, it's year-round. 6-pack, hazy, 7.5%. Shelf life is 6 months. 41 IBUs for a hazy is quite a bit, actually. And that cannot be original gravity. That is final gravity. So they have a typo on their own webpage. Look at that. Should I call Bells and call them out on that? They have it in a 6-pack of 12 ounces and a 12-pack in their variety pack only. Okay, all right. Now I'm going to brew this. You have got me on it. I'm brewing this beer for real. And now I want to see. So, by the way, I'm going to see if they still have them on here. But you have this little search bar here. Search in here and say beer or recipes. Look at that little typo guy here, recipe. Boom. Let's see what it says. Oktoberfest pretzel? What? Okay, now I want to do that. But they have their homebrew recipes. Okay, so these are food recipes. So now I gotta type in homebrew recipe. Their store has their homebrew stuff on it, so now I really want to check it out. Okay, scrap it. Homebrew competition. Homebrewing Oberon. Tips on cloning Bell's American Wheat Ale, which I've done, and that was good. Okay, so here's where you get their... I think you can just do it from their store, but you can buy their whole like kits. You see this? You can buy like a whole kit. So they sell these at the store, but you don't have to do that. You just go get their recipe kit. It's right down here. So if you go to the, this thing is going really slow for some reason. I don't know why, but their website is. But I think there's a whole link here. This is normally looks a little bit different, but there's a whole like page underneath here with written stuff, and it tells you where to click to get it. Oh, let's do this. Hold on, store. And we can do. Is there a search on the store? Let's find out. You guys are helping me do some reconnaissance here, so we're gonna figure this out. So we're gonna do. We got the store here. We're gonna do a search, and we're gonna say. Homebrew. Okay, so you can do the Hazy Hearted Clone recipe. Oh, this is it right here. You see in the reconnaissance and in action. So look at this Hazy Hearted IPA Clone 5-gallon recipe right here. Find the recipe here and instructions. So here we go. So here's the recipe. Click it. You're gonna download this bad boy. Watch this. Watch this. Oh my god, I'm so excited about this. Very excited. Ooh, get over here and maximize. There it is, you guys. Look at that. We got the goods. Here is the Hazy Hearted 5-gallon all-grain recipe. Here's all the ingredients you need. Here's all the brewing stats. Look, I told you OG was 1070. And it says final gravity is 1012, even though their website said 10009, which is wrong. Look at this. And it even gives you their Kalamazoo City water report for reference. So this is what you should base your water report on. Boom. Done. That's it. That's all they do. And then you need all this. So they use Yeast London Ale 3. You could use London Fog. But my guess is they actually use their house yeast for this, or maybe they don't actually. So maybe they don't because their regular house yeast isn't very hazy. 1.5 is flaked oats, 3.5 white wheat, Columbus hops. Look at all them hops. Those are all very, very good hops for hazy. Now I really want to try this. Look at this. We're doing all the work together, you guys. And I have to thank Ty for opening up my whole brain tonight, because that is amazing. So I'm saving this, just so you know, and I'm going to brew this, and I will give you a shout out, Ty, because you made me aware of that this is even a thing. I didn't even know this was a thing. That's awesome. So that's cool. I'm totally brewing this beer. But their other recipes, by the way, are on their website. So if you want to brew Oberon, you want to brew Bell's Too Hard to Ale, they're all on there. Go get them. And most of them, they use their same yeast. Except for this one, it looks like they do use London Ale 3, which I like the Y Yeast London Ale 3. It's good. However, London Fog from, which I'm just did the yeast starter for, literally behind me, that one's a great hazy IPA yeast, so you could use that in the stew. It'd be just fine. It says that London Ale OYL008 British Ale 3 or La Brew English Ale London yeast. Okay, so there's three options you can have. So Omega's 008 British Ale 3, Y Yeast London Ale 3, or La Brew, which is Lolomon's English Ale London yeast. Awesome. Dude, I am very excited. I don't know if you knew this. I'm so excited about this now. So let me get back to some comments here. I have not grown my own hops, just so you know. But I have friends that do, and I really kind of want to try doing that. I do have whole cone Citra hops I've used in several batches. So I have used whole cone hops. I've never grown them. So once I carb keg to bottle them, Kevin, I actually use, I have, which you probably can't tell behind me, but I have different tap handles, which are the forward sealing taps here, that have the little, what are they called? Inner tap handles. I was drawing the name. So these little tops screw off the top of them, so they look like this. And you can replace these with different tips. So you can have one for nitro. You can do some for like growler fillers and all that stuff. I have one that's just for bottle filling, and it has a little like barbed edge on it. And I take one of these tops off, or the little nipples off of the taps. I screw on my one that has the little bottle filler on it, and then I just fill it up. It goes right down to the bottom of the bottle. I fill it all the way up. I don't even need to turn down the pressure to do that. Now, you can use a bottle filler to do it. I have a whole video on how to do kegging bottling from a keg. So look on my page, go to bottle from a keg, and you'll see that video. I did a whole video on 3 different ways of doing it. So if you don't have those type of tap handles, you could use a bottle filler. There's a different way of just putting like a silicone tube on the end of a regular tap. You can check it out. But there's 3 different ways of doing it, but that's the easiest way. Let's see, what else am I missing here? Founders products generally get them. Yeah, Founders is pretty good. Okay, so Polly, good comment. See, these are the things that I want to know about. Where you say, I never see your pH meter. So that's a good comment. I have used it in several videos. I don't use them in all of them, but I do use the pH meter for most of my mashes. Now, with that said, I've brewed enough times with it to know that where I need to use it or where I don't. And so I don't have my pH meter right here, but if you want me to get it, I'll grab it real quick because I do have to use the bathroom. So I'll take a little break. I'll grab my pH meter. I'll bring it back. I'll show you what I use for my pH meter. But yes, I do grab a little sample most of the time when I'm brewing of my mash, and then I record that pH in my book, which I'll show you my little notes book I use too. So I'll grab both of those. I'll grab my pH meter and I'll grab my book here in just a second, and I'll be right back. So in the meantime, tell me what you're brewing. Tell me what you guys are drinking, and I'll be right back in just a few moments. Alrighty, let's see what we got. Move some junk out of my way here. Alright, so for every one of my beer brews that I do a sheet that looks like this. So this one was actually from the, so I do a sheet kind of looks like this. So I do this was actually from the clone of the Bell's 208. I just happened to flip to it, which is weird. But I do a brew sheet that looks like this. So it has all my brew notes. I talk about strike temperature, water temperature, put the yeast in there, different water additions I do, gypsum, calcium chloride, if I use a Werflock tablet, that kind of stuff. I put different notes in there. I do that for all of them. So I've got like a ton of them. I actually have a different notebook. This is just like the more recent, like past couple of years notebook. My pH meter, which is here, this is the one I have in my Amazon store, by the way. And it's called Dr. Meter. God, I was right. I was like Mr. Meter or Dr. Meter, one of the two. Looks like this. So it has the little temperature, or the probe underneath here. It comes with a little cap that like protects the probe, so you gotta take that off. And there's a little probe in here. And that wants to be kind of stay wet. So you wanna make sure that you're keeping that closed when you're not in there. But it comes with also these little, it's good if you don't drop it on the ground. Anyway, I have a little little electrode thing. God, I hope I didn't break that. But it also comes with these little like packets. So you can like test the pH of like at 4, I think it's 4, 6.5 or 6.25 and like 8 something. Anyway, but you mix it with a little distilled water and then you program it, basically calibrate it. And then after you do that, you don't need to do that very much. It's got a pretty good case. I think it's fine. But the temperature probe, or the probe in here, will also calibrate temperature. So if you have something that is really, really hot, it will automatically get down. But again, this is like $30. It's nothing like crazy. It's nothing crazy expensive, but it's something that will help you get your pH in line, because that's one thing that a lot of people don't think about. Even when they're adding salts and stuff like that into their beer brewing procedure, they're not thinking about the pH. And the pH sometimes, especially for a lot of like hazy, or not hazy, like West Coast IPAs and pale ales and lighter beers, the pH is gonna be higher because they have less acidic additions. When you make like a darker beer, and I think that's why a lot of people make good dark beers and then like crap light beers, is because their pH is really high for the light beers and really low for the darker beers. And the lower ones are within a range that's supposed to be good, which is 5.2, 5.3. And their lighter beers are somewhere between like 5.6, 5.7, maybe 5.8. And so it gets a little bit high for that. And so that's why I like to use a pH meter for my mash. Same taps I need to check out your video, MTK. So give me a beer tap. Yeah, honestly, the taps, the forward ceiling taps with the springs in them are the way to go. Because I accidentally walked out one time and I actually had a car in my garage and I hit one of my taps on my kegerator, and I didn't realize it on the way back into the house. And I shut the door, didn't think about it. I came back out and there was like some of the best hazy IPA I ever made, like a couple years ago, was just running down the driveway, and it was just spitting CO2 out of my tap. I was like so pissed. I was like, there's probably 3.5, 4 gallons left of that beer, and it was gone. It just, the whole thing was out. So it was a sad day. It was a sad day. Yeah, so I don't mind bottling too. I did that today. I literally took, I have a whole bunch of 22-ounce bombers, so like the big bottles. I filled up 3 of them for one of the other beers that I kind of want to keep, and bottled those while I made room for the other one that I'm doing tomorrow. Yes, lactic acid adjustment will help with the pH. So if you're high, use lactic acid. It's usually like, what is it, like 85, 83% or something like that, which is the stuff you buy at the homebrew store. And usually you don't need all that much. It depends. So most of the time for my lighter beers, I only need somewhere between like 3 and, I don't know, all the way up to maybe 8 milliliters, depending on what grains I'm using. But yeah, not much lactic acid, and you can drop it right down to the right. So you really just worry about that in your mash itself. When all the starch conversion is going on, you want your mash pH to be correct. Yeah, so yeah, that's a horror story. It keeps me up at night, Paulie. Like, spilled all that good beer. Oh my God. I'm very, very mad. Still to this day, and this was like 2 years ago. All right, so now I'm going to save that recipe, by the way, so I don't lose it. Thanks to Ty again. He gets the gold star for the night. Gold star Ty gets a gold star for the night for letting me know that that Bell's has a hazy IPA that I have not brewed yet, and now it's on. It's on. It's on my list to do now. It is on my list. Stay tuned because it is on. And actually, I should do another whole like thing about like harvesting the yeast from their bottles and stuff, because I bet you they don't filter that one either. Now I'm gonna get some, and I'm gonna find out. Last year you lost a bunch of my Reese's Porter from the keg, and you still cringe. Oof. How'd you lose it? Did you leave it like hit a little bit, or did it spill, or how'd you lose your beer? I'm doing it. You're totally gonna see it, Ty. I'm telling you, it's a done deal. Whether I have to buy yeast or harvest it myself, which is a plus, I'm doing it. Whether it might be early next year, because I've got so many on the chopping block right now, but it's on the list. It's done. It's a done deal. I'm already doing it. I'm already planning it. So yeah, if you have some and you have one you haven't poured yet, Just look at the bottom, or pour it very, very slowly, and then look at the bottom. If there's any type of a coating, then they don't. And one of the things to do, take one of their bottles and take a flashlight. Hold on, I'm gonna show you. Like, take a little flashlight like this guy. Go to the bottom and do this to it. Just go way down to the bottom, and you'll see, like, or maybe it's even better to do it this way. You'll see like a little tiny thin little layer when you get down to the bottom. Even through the brown little bottle, you'll see like a dust coating on the bottom, and you will be able to tell if they do their beer like that or not. If they filter. If they don't filter, stealing it. I don't even care if it's like London Ale 3. You're gonna ramp that stuff up. It comes right from their brewery. You know it's good. Oh, you're trying to bottle from the keg in excellent development? Oh no. Sad day. So the beer notes template, that's a good question also, Paulie, because I think Brewer's Friend has one. All right, now you're giving me all kinds of stuff. Now Paulie's giving me something to look up here. Let me help you out, Paulie. So Brewer's Friend. I think they have their little thing on here. Let me look. And this is where I kind of got my template, and I just kind of changed it. But let me look here. So it's got your Salisbury. I think Brewer's Friend has, if I can spell friend right, Brewer's Friend notes, or what do we call it? Notes page or something. I think it's called notes. Oh, here it is, right here, printable. So here we go. I'm gonna do share screen here so I can show you guys. Okay, so Brewer's Friend. You don't have to be a Brewer's Friend user to have this. But yeah, and there's different ones. Beersmith has them, they all have them. So you can have this recipe template for all grain brewers, and there's printable resources, and you go into Brewer's Friend and you find that. And this recipe template is like basically the exact same thing that I just showed you guys. It has the sheet. So here you go. Now, and this one, it has all these little like mash calculators and how to do that, which are great. If you're new to brewing and you want to do this, this is basically the same thing that I use, but I don't put this cost one in here. I put I put hops instead of over here. I put it on this one and I made it bigger. And then I put the yeast down here where the cost is. And my grains, or I can't remember what I had here. I don't know how let me look. Oh, I have it on me. That's no big deal. But anyway, I have the same style grains here, but I switched over so that my mash schedule is over here. That's what I did. I took my mash and I put it over in this one, and then I took my hops and I made it bigger because most of the time you have more than like 5 hops in like a big hazy or something like that. So what I did is I just made this bigger. I dropped the yeast down to this one, and then I have this notes section. But I am going to change it up a little bit and add some more for like this water pH adjustments. And I'm going to do a little bit different because I think that I need a little bit more room for that. I've been now just kind of cramming it in the notes right here. And I need a little bit bigger room, a bigger area for that. But yeah, you could, in a pinch, just print this off and change it up or like mimic it, use Word or whatever. That's what I do. So, yeah, you can find those online very, very easily. So, very cool. Let's see. The Beer and Barbecue by Larry has a free one, huh? That's great. I don't know if I've seen that one. Yeah. Honestly, you just have to change it up. Just don't reinvent the wheel for anything, man. Just find something online, change it up a little bit, make it your own. No need to redo the whole thing. Somebody's already started the work for you. Just finish it up. Yeah, there's a lot of different websites that have them. They're really handy, and it's really just so you can go back, look at what you did, make notes about something that went right or went wrong or whatever. Write little, it's really just snippets for yourself in the future. Like, hey, this went really cool, awesome. This one didn't. Why not? Oh, this one didn't hit my mash temperature because of one, or mash pH or something like that because of one reason or another. And then you'll know all that stuff. So when you go back and look at it in a year, you're like, whatever. I need to change this one thing. That's easy. Or like, what happened? I don't remember. This one didn't turn out as good as I thought it would because of X, Y, Z. And then you go back and you look and you figure all that stuff out. But man, it's getting to be, let's see what time it is. 11 o'clock already. So we've been on for a couple, 2.5 hours or so. It's been a fun night. Does anybody have any last minute questions or anything that you want to go over, or things that you want to hear about before I wrap stuff up tonight? Because we've had a good conversation. So we talked about everybody go check out my beer video, grain to glass, all full grain to glass video. It's going to be dropping tomorrow for my pumpkin ale. That one's a great beer. I just tapped it today, or I kegged it about a week ago, but I just had my first sample of it today, and it was fantastic. It was very good. Much better than the one I've been kind of sipping on tonight, which I'm not a huge fan of. But go check that one out. It's going to drop tomorrow. I appreciate all the likes, subscribes, and shares to those videos, and you guys watching them. Appreciate everybody jumping on tonight. It's been really, really fun. I captured my tilt using a Raspberry Pi. I have a video, also Polly, check it out, on the tilt hydrometer. I think I did it a year ago in December-ish, so look about December, January-ish, but you'll see it on there. My tilt and the little Raspberry Pi thing are on there. You can get both of those also. I put them in the link description, or not the link description, in the Amazon store in the link description for the tilt and the tilt Raspberry Pi. So it's basically a repeater. It just takes the information from the tilt gives off, and every 15 minutes it logs it, and it puts it on a Google Sheets for you. Super awesome. It's a game changer for brewing. For real, one of the coolest things that I've ever bought for brewing, period. And it really doesn't change my beer. I can brew good beer or bad beer without it. It's just cool to have that information while you're brewing. Very, very cool. Check it out. Tilt hydrometer. I also have the Raspberry Pi on that Amazon store, so check that out. The video going through the both and what they do and how to set it up is all on there as well, so check that out. So the beer's going to drop tomorrow. We're going to be doing another hazy video. If you haven't watched my last one for the one we won the People's Choice, which is the first place for my maple syrup beer, I did a video on that event and the Sticky Nuts Brown Ale, which is this beer. So go check those two videos out. Very, very cool. Those are the last couple ones I just did. You guys, I appreciate you guys all jumping on tonight. It's been really, really fun. Again, if you haven't subscribed or you need to subscribe, go ahead and do that. Every video you guys like, subscribe. It helps the channel a lot, and I appreciate all of you for jumping on and spending time and drinking some beers with me tonight. If you have questions, comments, whatever, leave them in the comments even after this video is posted. And I always look forward to reading all of your comments and doing things, for you guys in the future, setting up new videos and other things, answering questions, because that's what it's all about. It's getting other people to brew beer just like me, so I'm not the only one brewing. So anyway, with that, I appreciate all of you guys. Have an awesome night. Cheers, and don't forget to